Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool beat Bournemouth by a resounding 3-0 at Anfield this evening in a win that was really impressive. You know, the way Liverpool went about it, the way they managed the game, the way they played as well. Everything about that performance was really impressive and really encouraging when you think about the kind of results that Liverpool have got in the past against teams like Bournemouth, you know, the so-called smaller teams of the Premier League. And obviously Bournemouth aren't the most stern opposition when it comes to those kind of games. They don't park the bus like your West Broms or maybe even your Burnleys, those kind of sides. But they are still, you know, a tough team to play, and Liverpool have got some bad results against them in the past, often due to things like poor game management or poor defensive performances or stuff like that. And I thought Liverpool played really well and really maturely as well today. And they started as they meant to go on. You know, we were already going right at Bournemouth from minute 1 and pretty much from then on all the way through to minute 90, to be honest. You know, the way we were just breaking their lines so easily, getting into that box, getting into promising positions. The only thing that really held us back in that first half, I thought, was occasionally there was slightly wayward finishing. Occasionally Bournemouth got back in and made last-ditch tackles or last-ditch blocks. But apart from that, the build-up play from the Liverpool and the way they went about creating chances was so impressive. And obviously we get that early chance, we get that early goal with Sadio Mane. It's a really good cross from Jordan Henderson, by the way, who had a fantastic game today, you know, especially in that first half. He epitomised the work that midfield was doing in the way that they always were looking to win the ball back. They were aggressive, they were on the front foot, and as soon as they won the ball back, straight away they were looking for the pass. You know, they didn't even take a couple of touches before they were already pinging balls out wide or dinking it over the defence, trying to get those attackers into the kind of positions where they can score goals. And I thought Liverpool just had too much energy and too much speed about their play for Bournemouth to cope with, and that was epitomised by the fact that they scored so early on. Even though it was so early on in the game, it already felt deserved. It already felt like that lead had been coming right since the start of the game. And like I said, a nice goal from Sadio Mane, a little bit of fortune in that the save bounces back to him. But, you know, Liverpool had moments where they were a little bit unlucky in that half as well, I think, as well. You know, some good saves from Asmir Begovic. I thought he got a hand to things quite well in that game. Mo Salah obviously has a couple moments where his touch is slightly off, which was a little bit disappointing. So all in all, you know, while the finishing wasn't great, it was a fantastic first half from Liverpool, just in terms of the build-up play that they were putting in. And that's great to see, because occasionally when we come up against these kind of sides, there's a little bit too much side-to-side passing and there's not that much aggression. And sometimes that's because teams, you know, they let Liverpool have the ball. But when Liverpool lose the ball, I don't think there's always enough aggression to try and win it back and to try and flip the play round and get attacks going again. And that's what Liverpool did today. And that's what meant that we were so difficult for Bournemouth to deal with. And then the second half came around and Liverpool basically carried things on from there on in. Bournemouth came at us a little bit at the start of the second half. They looked like they were maybe trying to get themselves into the game a little bit more. Obviously, they didn't have a huge amount to play for today. They're basically safe from relegation. This wasn't a huge potential point or 3 points for them, but it's still nice to get results, especially at Anfield. And like I said, given Bournemouth's past record against Liverpool, they know that they're capable of doing it. But Liverpool were very good in making sure that Bournemouth didn't really get a sniff at any point in this game, apart from a momentary lapse that I'll come to later around about the 85 minute mark. I thought the defence were incredibly impressive in the way that they didn't have huge amounts to do. You know, for a lot of the time, Bournemouth didn't threaten that much. But whenever Bournemouth got the ball maybe into our third or at least our half of the pitch and tried to get it to their forwards, Dejan Lovren and Virgil van Dijk were just always in the right place at the right time. They came out, they dealt with it, they showed calmness. Oh, pardon me. They showed calmness and maturity as well. You know, the way Dejan Lovren sometimes would just roll Jermaine Defoe or roll one of Bournemouth's attackers and just carry the ball away as if it was the easiest thing in the world, when countless times before we've seen Dejan Lovren lose his head and lose his footing and allow a striker in those kind of situations, was really encouraging to see. And, you know, all in all, the performance was the kind of performance that Liverpool will need to put in next season if they want to be challenging for the league title. You know, these are the kind of games that you shouldn't just be winning, but you should be winning comfortably, and that is what Liverpool did today. Obviously, the second goal then comes. It's an absolutely wonderful ball from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Had a great game all around today, you know, showed so much class, so much technique when getting balls into the box and stuff like that, and that was the pick of the bunch, the one he puts in for Mo Salah. Just the way that he keeps looking, he never looks down, he keeps his eye on Mo Salah's run and waits for the perfect moment, then he gets his head down, then he dinks the ball in, and it's the perfect ball right onto Mo Salah's head, perfectly timed to catch Salah's run into the box, and all Salah has to do, and you know, I say that like it's an easy thing, it's still a great cushioned header from Mo Salah to get it over the goalkeeper, and goal number 40. Just insane. Absolutely insane that Mo Salah's posting those kind of numbers. Obviously only the third player in Liverpool's history to reach 40 goals in a single season, which is absolutely fantastic. First ever African player to hit 30 goals, one of only 8 Premier League players to hit 30 Premier League goals. I mean, just how many records is this guy going to break this season? There are still plenty more to go. Obviously, the big one is the 32 Premier League goals in a 38-game season, which is a record in the Premier League. He'll be chasing that one. Obviously, the Ian Rush one as well, the 47-goal mark. Hopefully, fingers crossed he can get there. After this game, he's got 6 games left, 7 if he plays the Champions League final. So personally, I'd back Salah to at least equal the record, potentially even break it as well. So he's doing absolutely brilliantly, and just another goal to add to his tally. And that's the kind of thing that separates Mo Salah and those world-class players from the rest. Mo Salah had a relatively poor game today. You know, he didn't get the rub of the green with a lot of his chances. I think Bournemouth had quite a clever thing going where they always positioned their defender, whether it was Salah or Firmino or Mane, on the kind of near post area to force Liverpool's players into that far post effort, which the goalkeeper very often anticipated. And there are a lot of times where Salah, he went far post, he looked for that wonderful curling effort, but Begovic had anticipated it anyway and got a safe hand to it. And that happened quite a lot for Liverpool today. Like I said, Salah didn't have a great game. There was that other moment where he's pretty much through on goal and his touch lets him down, which is disappointing as well. Bournemouth obviously put a lot of men on him as well, so I think you've got to take that into account, that they were very, very fixated on stopping Mohamed Salah, so that kind of stopped him from playing the kind of football that we know he's capable of, although of course Mo Salah is capable of doing amazing things no matter how many defenders you've got around him, as we saw in the game against Watford. But yeah, still gets a goal despite a difficult day for him, and a really, really good performance all round in the way that he sort of got over his issues. It never looked like it was getting him down, and he was still very, very involved with the play that Liverpool had going on. And then obviously we have a little bit of a wobble around the 80-minute mark. Things got a little bit out of hand defensively. I think some of it was down to Dejan Lovren picking up some sort of knock. It seems like he's going to be fine. You know, Ranier Klavan obviously played pretty well, I thought, when he came on, given the fact that he was only coming on for the last 10 minutes. He came on in a period where Liverpool were not on the ropes, but looking slightly shaky, and did pretty well. There was some good defending in there. I think it's just that Bournemouth really had a proper go. They sort of saved up all their attacking energy and suddenly let it all out in that 5-minute burst to desperately try and get themselves back into the game. Liverpool dealt with that very well. The one time they managed to get a half-decent shot on goal, there's a nice little save from Loris Karius. You know, maybe he could have held on to it or something like that, but he gets 2 strong hands to it, keeps it out. That's what you want your goalkeepers to be doing in these kind of games. Just not having to do much, but when they need to, they make the saves that count towards the result, and that helps Liverpool forward to a comfortable 3 points. And then Roberto Firmino wraps it up in lovely, lovely style. Like I said, they kept trying to do that thing where they had defender near post, goalie catches it far post. So Roberto Firmino says, all right, you can try that, but I'm just going to nutmeg your defender. He sends it in near post. It's a really nice finish from Roberto Firmino. 25 goals in the season for him now, by far and away his best ever goal scoring season. 15 in the Premier League as well, which is apparently the most ever scored by a Brazilian in a single Premier League season. So that's fantastic as well. I mean, this Liverpool side is just making records tumble at the moment, and it's really, really good to see. And I looked at the table after that game and realised that actually, if Liverpool do win all their remaining games, and that's a slightly big if, let's be honest, but if they do that, then they'll get 82 points, which is the same amount that they got when they finished second under Brendan Rodgers in that incredible near-miss potential title-winning season. So Liverpool have had a really, really good season, and I felt like this game was a proper marker of how far this side has come in these kind of games. You know, as early as, you know, the start of this season and the first few months, and even the latter half of 2017 altogether, this could have represented a really difficult game for Liverpool. It could have potentially been a banana skin. And I feel like even if we hadn't had that early goal from Sadio Mane that gives us the breakthrough, that kind of relieves the pressure to get the goal to put us 1-0 up, I still don't think Liverpool would have ever felt any nerves. We would have never felt like we were under pressure to get a goal, because we just played with that kind of maturity and sensibility that meant that you always felt like Liverpool were going to get over the the line. And there's a trust now almost developing between the fans and between the players that we know they're going to get the job done, because there've been nervous atmospheres around Anfield in these kind of games before, and you never felt that today. You never felt like the Anfield crowd were getting a little bit tetchy. You always felt like, and I felt it as well, you know, I felt fine and confident in the fact that Liverpool were going to get the result today. And boy, did they get it, you know. 3-0, a really good result. Could have been an even bigger rout on the day if the finishing had been a little bit better. But if you're winning 3-0 when your finishing isn't great, then that's pretty good, all things considered. And another lovely 3 points. And then man of the match, personally, it's Trent Alexander-Arnold, isn't it? I agree with a few people that Jordan Henderson was man of the match in the first half. You know, he really commandeered that midfield performance. Special mentions to Oxlade-Chamberlain, Wijnaldum as well, who were also ace in those kind of roles. You know, the speed with which the midfield moved the ball around as well and got forward. Bournemouth just couldn't cope with it at times. And I think that's testament to what happens when you don't rest players. You know, there was obviously a temptation for Jurgen Klopp to maybe rest a few of those players in there because of the game against City on Tuesday evening, but he went with a full strength side. He went with pretty much the same side that played against City, and we benefited from it. You know, the way the players, they know the runs that are being made, they know the kind of passes that they need to pull off, so when they're playing in tight spaces, when they've got to play one-touch football, they're capable of doing it, and they're capable of pulling it off and making it look really impressive because they're on those same wavelengths and because they've built up that chemistry by playing as a regular starting 11 week in, week out. But yeah, back to my original point, Trent Alexander-Arnold, man of the match. You know, Henderson has a great first half, but Alexander-Arnold, consistent throughout, dealt with everything that was asked of him defensively really well as well, which kind of went under the radar a little bit, obviously, because he wasn't up against Leroy Sané or any of the other best wingers in the world at the moment, but he still did very well there. It was very mature, and the way he comes forward with the ball, there were moments when he was just charging forward, and the way that he dribbles as well was so impressive. Obviously, his passing gets all the plaudits, rightly so. It is fantastic. That ball he puts in for Mo Salah wasn't the only incredible ball he put into the box today, and I think Liverpool have just got a real player on our hands. You know, we can, if we keep hold of Trent Alexander-Arnold and he keeps on this kind of upward trend of his development, then we could have one of the best right backs, if not the best right back potentially in the world, on our hands. So that is all for today's video. Thank you guys very much for watching. No matches in midweek for once. We can all take a little bit of a rest from the incredible games and incredible performances that the Mighty Reds have been delivering us. So yeah, I'll be back later on in the week, of course, with the pre-match content for the game against West Brom. So do stick around for that. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button there if you're new around here. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter, and I'll see you in a bit for the pre-match content for the West Brom game. Bye for now.